good does this feel to be in this position right now going into championship?
It's a great feeling. It really is. It's a culmination of a lot of hard work, and it's been a long 2 years to get here, and everybody with the program has worked really hard, and and it's paying off. And so I'm excited for our players and Coach Monken and the fans, to get this program back to where it once was.
Being a championship week, how important is it to keep that morale high, and how much of the battle is that in itself?
I don't think we're going to have too much trouble keeping the morale high. It's a matter of just doing things the way we've done them, and preparing. And there's no doubt this is a big week. It's for all the marbles, and it's what everybody works for. But you still have to go in and approach it like we do weekly. Your preparation's the same, and try to avoid the distractions. There's the outside noise, as Coach Monken always talks about, and try to focus in on what we have to do and play a complete game.
Can you briefly describe the team's atmosphere in the locker room after you guys beat Luntech?
It was pretty nice. It was a pretty good feeling. It's one of those locker rooms that you don't get to experience too often. And you cherish those feelings, and yet they knew that we got one more left, and so it was a little bit, with the feeling of we got something left. We got one more to get it, to finish it off. It wasn't, they were excited. We had a good win. We beat a good football team, but they also know we got one left to get.
Coach Monken was dancing. Were you dancing too?
No, that's I try to stay out of the. When they start yelling for coaches, I start running for cover. So hopefully they can't find me.
Coach, it seems like after that Marshall game, the switch kind of flipped for the defense. Can you look back? Can you pinpoint any moment there when everything just started clicking?
I don't know if it's a moment or it's just the schemes, whether it's the teams or the level, but our guys have been playing hard, Lanny, all season, and it's and they prepared hard, and we played hard against Mississippi State. They were a great opponent. We didn't do as well as we would have liked, and some execution things. And then we played Nebraska, and we gave up a lot of yards, but we didn't break. We held them to a lot of field goals, and that was a good offensive football team. And the biggest game I think was a letdown was the Texas State, and that was on me. I felt pretty good going into the game with our plan, and maybe it was a little bit too simple for what we needed to get done. And but it's never been an issue with our guys playing hard or whatever. It's just they came, they're a mature group, and they've played the next snap. And it's like Saturday, we had a couple momentum plays get out on us, but they were able to gain their composure and focus back in and play the next play. So it's been a good group to be around like that, and it's the mature group that can dial back in. So it's hard to really put your finger on it, Lanny.
Coach, do you credit some of that maturity to the team's ability to kind of step up this past weekend when you had three very important starters go down early in the game?
Right. I think that's huge, and people asked, how'd you handle it? Were you surprised with the way that Tarek Wright and Picasso played and Trey Collins played? And I said, no, not at all, because those guys, if you think back on it, they've started at some point in their career, and that's where we're at depth-wise. Is those guys have played a lot of football, so it's nice to have those guys in that position where, okay, you're not dropping down like we have in the past years to guys who have played minimal football when you sustain injuries or whatnot throughout a game. And now your depth is a big factor in your success, because you can go to quality players at that time. And all three of those guys played really well this past weekend.
What makes Downey so good?
I'm sorry?
What makes Brandon Downey so good?
Experience. He's played a lot of football. He seems like he's got a great presence. He's very accurate throwing the ball. I think he's leading the nation in a lot of the statistics. Passing percentage and that. I think he's near. If he's not at the top, he's really darn close to being at the top. And he's got a lot of weapons to use. I mean, he's got Taywan Taylor, you know, he's on the Bolitnikoff. They just, you know, they've got their tight end back, Higbee, I think it is, you know, and he's 6'6", you know, 200, he's a pretty big guy that catches well. He's a physical player. I think they can distribute the ball around with him, and so it's not like they have to depend on him solely. He's got a lot of weapons, you know, to use, so, but he's obviously going to be a huge challenge this weekend.
You always talk about the main thing is the W, which we understand, but against La Tech, they ran 23 times for -2 yards. How did that happen, and how does that make you feel?
You know, it's obviously one of the keys to winning a football game is we prepare. The first thing we do as a defensive staff is, all right, how do we stop their, you know, 5 or 6 top run plays? And you know, that's part of the scheme, and it's part of our staff, you know, putting together a pretty good plan. You know, and then your players have got to go out and execute. And I think the game got a little bit, you know, the game in itself lent it to us, you know, them throwing the football a little bit more. So they got behind, and that's, you know, our offense jumped on them pretty good, and so that sometimes aided in our success.
Is it more I mean, is it so much Dowdy, or is it the offense as a whole? Like,
Well, I think if you look around at most teams, and whether it's the NFL or college or even high school, you know, you got to have a guy that's underneath the center to make things go. I mean, you got to have a guy that you can lean on that can make plays when you need to make plays. But he's extremely talented. There's no doubt about it. But he's got a lot of weapons around him. So it's not like he needs to win the game by himself. But when he is called upon, he's extremely capable of doing it.
What's just the main thing you tell your defense as a whole when you know you've got to face a passing team that good?
You know, it's you know, everybody's called upon, you know, and it's you know, everybody thinks, oh well, you know, they have this great quarterback, our defensive backs are going to have to be, you know, be in lockdown mode and do a great job on their receivers. But it really starts with the defensive front being able to pressure him, get him off his spots, you know, not let him get comfortable, and sit back there and have the time to throw it, you know. And so you know, if you don't necessarily need to sack him, but you need to be disruptive around the quarterback, and you know, alter his throwing motion and alter his vision and crush the pocket and make him feel uncomfortable, and that's where it starts.